Asger Aaboe's father was once an officer in the Danish Army whose household got here from Egaa, a small village which lies on the banks of Aarhus Bay to the north of Aarhus metropolis center. The in each Aaboe and in Egaa capacity, brook, too, as Asger as soon as explained, his household identify capacity, one who lives through Bo, the brook, He attended the Østre Borgerdige Skole in Copenhagen, a well-known faculty the place J.L. Heiberg, who produced masterly variations of Greek mathematical and astronomical classics, had been headmaster from 1884 to 1896. Aaboe graduated in 1940 and entered the University of Copenhagen earlier in the identical year. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share and subscribe. Like it. Normally, however, as an end result of the cooperative mindset of the Danish authorities. By the summertime of 1943 there was once growing hostility closer to Germany and the Danish authorities was once dissolved. However, Aaboe was once in a position to find out about mathematics, astronomy, physics, and chemistry at the university, being in particular influenced by way of his arithmetic lecturer Harald Bohr. He graduated from Copenhagen with a candidatus magisteri in 1947 after imparting a thesis The Determination of Areas and Volumes in Antiquity, especially in the works of Archimedes. In 1948 he went to the United States, the place he had been appointed to a traveling lectureship at Washington University in St. Louis. There he met Joan Armstrong. They have been married in 1950 and had 4 children, Kirsten, Anne, Eric, and Niels. Later in 1948 Aaboe back to Denmark to take up a role at Birkerød Statskole, the place he was once appointed adjunct in mathematics. He remained there till 1952 when he emigrated to the United States on being provided a function as instructor in mathematics at Tufts University close to Boston. In truth, when Aaboe was once appointed, the group was once acknowledged as Tufts College, altering its identify to Tufts University in 1954. Aaboe persevered with his activity in the records of arithmetic and posted the paper Al-Kashi's new release approach for the willpower of sin 1 degree in 1954. In addition to protecting the instructorship at Tufts, he enrolled as a PhD pupil at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, in 1955. There was once true cause for Aaboe to register for a PhD at Brown University, for though he grew to be the solely graduate pupil in the history of mathematics department, he grew to become a scholar of the eminent historian of arithmetic Otto Neugebauer, who had been professor of the history of mathematics at Brown University because 1947. Steele writes, 3. Few combos of pupil and supervisor can have been as worthwhile as that between Neugebauer and Aaboe. When Aaboe first got here to Brown, Neugebauer used to be in the last ranges of getting ready his groundbreaking find out about a Babylonian mathematical astronomy, astronomical cuneiform texts, 1955. This work would put lookup into Babylonian astronomy on an association basis. Through the booklet and systematic evaluation of greater than 300 texts observed on cuneiform capsules held in the British Museum, the Oriental Institute at Chicago, the Louvre in Paris, the Stadtliche Museen in Berlin, the Archäologie Museleri in Istanbul, and quite a few smaller collections in Europe and the United States. It used to be natural, therefore, that Aaboe would work on Babylonian astronomy for his PhD. Given Neugebauer's pastimes, it will now not be a shock to examine that the title of Aaboe's doctoral thesis, submitted in 1957, used to be on baby Ionian planetary theories. Now Neugebauer used to be no longer the solely impact of Aaboe from his time at Brown University. The Assyriologist Abraham Sachs used to be additionally at Brown and had labored with Neugebauer on Babylonian mathematical texts. Sachs had ended up involved in Babylonian astronomy and had received get right of entry to heaps of astronomical cuneiform drugs stored in the British Museum in London. 3. Sachs acceded onto Aaboe a listing of capsules that had been sincerely associated to the mathematical astronomical texts posted with the aid of Neugebauer, however, did no longer show up to be phase of the recognized structures of planetary or lunar theory. This listing of pills would furnish the stimulus for an awful lot of Aaboe's lookup for the relaxation of his career. Aaboe was once promoted to associate professor at Tufts in 1959. Then 2 years later widespread an invitation to be part of the newly created Department of the History of Science and Medicine at Yale. In 1962 he grew to become an associate professor in each this branch and additionally in the mathematics department at Yale. He was once promoted to Yale Department, specifically the Department of Near Eastern Languages and Literatures. He remained in these professorial positions till he retired in 1992. Let us now see at some of Aaboe's publications. In 1963 he posted on a Greek qualitative planetary mannequin of the epicyclic variety. O. Schmidt writes in a review, in a Greek papyrus of the 2d century AD there is proof of path to that efficiently adopted through Ptolemy. In the paper below evaluate it is proven that, assuming the angular velocities of the center of the epicycle and the angular velocities of the planet on the epicycle to be the identical as these in Almagest T, and this is a very realistic assumption, a mannequin of the above noted kind can make neither Venus nor Mars retrograde. In 1960. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share and subscribe. Like it. 4. He wrote the ebook episodes from the early records of mathematics. Steele writes. 3. Aaboe took this possibility to write a records of arithmetic textual content that was once on hand to school children and but nevertheless dealt with the technical important points of historic mathematics. In carrying off this task Aaboe displayed his present for explaining tricky things in clear, charming, and witty prose. His success can be considered by using the reality that the book has been translated into Swedish, Danish, Spanish, Turkish, Polish and Japanese. It is a fantastically written e-book which the authors of this biography have examined a number of instances at some stage in their writing of articles for this archive. In some Seleucid mathematical tables, extended reciprocals and squares of ordinary numbers, 1965, Aaboe appears at 8 mathematical cuneiform tablets, 3 of which had no longer in the past been published. In the equal year he posted on length family members in Babylonian astronomy which made new conjectures primarily based on texts that Abraham Sachs had found. In the following 12 months he posted the paper Some Dateless Computed Lists of Longitudes of Attribute Planetary Phenomena from the Late Babylonian Length, primarily based on 14 texts saved in the British Museum. This supply of texts additionally led to some lunar auxiliary tables and associated texts from the Late Babylonian duration, 1968. Whilst the paper 2 abnormal multiplication tables from Uruk posted in the following 12 months examined one before unpublished paper and one which had been misidentified through Neugebauer. In a computed listing of new moons for 319 BC to 316 BC from Babylon, BM 40094, 1969, he gave images with a translation of a cuneiform pill in the British Museum which offers the second of early date. He persisted to submit papers on these subjects during his life. In 2001 Aaboe posted episodes from the early records of astronomy, a accomplice quantity to his 1964 episodes from the early records of mathematics. J.P. Britton writes in a evaluation, this slim, elegantly written quantity by way of Asger Aaboe would possibly have been extra correct, titled, Highlights of Planetary Theory from Babylon to Kepler, due to the fact that that is in reality its subject. It affords a clear, authoritative, and often authentic introduction to the foremost factors of planetary idea earlier than Newton, which professionals will locate profitable and newcomers accessible. Aaboe's spouse Joan died in 1990 and he retired 2 years later. Steele writes. 3. Despite his retirement in 1992, Aaboe maintained his hobby in Babylonian astronomy, persevering with to put up necessary studies, and encouraging youthful pupils in their work. I was once lucky to be one of the beneficiaries of Asger's encouragement, and spent countless blissful days staying with him in North Haven, discussing Babylonian astronomy, consuming his fantastic domestic-made bread, cruising on his boat, and listening to his tales of Sachs, Neugebauer and the different awesome pupils of Babylonian astronomy. He remarried in 2006 to Isabella Zabakowska and died at his domestic in January of the following year after a quick illness. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share and subscribe. Like it.